I didn't want to start it like this. I would have much preferred to have started things on a more positive note. I even had a whole video already shot, talking about the same subject, talking about Doctor Who. That video was hopeful. Hell, it was positive. It was about the beautiful aspect of Doctor Who. It was about how brilliant it was to have a really popular sci-fi that was, in the end, all about how wonderful humans are. But no, I had a bit of a delay with my video making, and I didn't finish putting it all together before the third episode came out. So, you know, to be all up to date and everything, I watched the third episode. And now I have to talk about this. Welcome to Stuff, a show about things. It's time to talk about suicide in Doctor Who. Now, before I start, a bit of a caveat. I don't want to say that the third episode, the current season of Doctor Who, A Town Called Mercy, is a bad piece of writing. Because it's not. It's not a bad piece of writing. The characters are well developed. It raises some very mature themes, which it should be applauded for. And it even has, you know, some good moments of random Doctor humour. You would be justified in saying that it's entertaining, essentially. But the problem is that the conclusion it draws to the issue it raises is abhorrent. So the central issue of A Town Called Mercy is, how do you punish someone whose moral status is muddy at best? The offender in question is a scientist who performed horrible experiments on a number of innocents, killing many and turning the rest into murderous monsters. That's a genuinely evil act. But the effect of the scientist's act was to draw to a close a brutal war that convulsed his planet, and in the aftermath of doing this, the scientist fled to a town and saved it from a cholera outbreak. In essence, he has performed evil, but he did so for reasons that are justifiable. He's essentially the alien version of Albert Einstein, and the cyborgs he created are basically nukes. So the question is, undoubtedly the scientist is responsible for evil. But how do you punish that evil in light of the fact that the scientist has also done great good, and even more so has done great good through evil? Well, the way the episode goes about solving this problem is offering three different varieties of punishment. So the first one is retribution, straight eye for an eye stuff. Another alternative is mob justice. And the final option is mercy. Not the absolution of the scientist's crimes, more the refusal to allow him to be killed as a result of them. Okay, so we have our issue. How do you punish this morally grey man? We have our three solutions: retribution, mob violence, or mercy. Okay, so how do each of these alternatives pan out? Well, retribution is dealt with fairly swiftly. It's stated that that is not what good people do, that good people do not consider justice to be simply killing offenders. Mob justice is also rejected because it's considered to come out of fear rather than reason. In the end, then, mercy is chosen as the acceptable path to solving the problem. The Doctor concocts a scheme whereby the scientist will be able to escape the gunslinger. But even though mercy is depicted as the only viable alternative, the programme still sets it out to be a completely flawed option. It's even presented as perpetuating conflict, that mercy in and of itself, even though it is a good act, only causes more bad things to happen. So the episode has laid out that mercy is the only viable option for dealing with this issue, and at the same time has stated that mercy is a non-starter of an option for dealing with this issue. It won't solve anything. So, how does the episode get itself out of this problem? Suicide. The scientist kills himself. That is how closure is gained in this episode. This is plain to see from two aspects of the aftermath of the scientist's suicide. The first one is that the gunslinger states that his death by suicide was honourable. Now, it could be argued that the gunslinger's opinion on this matter is unreliable, because he is essentially a robot programmed with military values. So, of course, he would assume that suicide was honourable. That's been a staple of military cultures since time immemorial. It might not be a genuine belief, it might just be a result of his programming. However, there is unbiased evidence. In the wake of the scientist's death, the music is not tragic, it doesn't condemn anything, the music is closure music. The music has the episode say that suicide is the only way to completely solve a tricky moral issue. I hate the idea that we would consider suicide as a solution to anything, but it's even worse if you consider the context of that statement. You see, when we first meet the scientist, we find out that he is attempting to make up for his crimes by helping this isolated Wild West community. He saves them from a cholera outbreak, and he improves their quality of life by bringing them electricity. He could have just flown away in his ship and left them there to die of cholera. But no, he voluntarily stayed on the planet. In essence, what this episode says is that suicide is a better way of making up for criminal deeds than using the rest of your life for the betterment of others' lives. That is probably one of the most hateful conclusions I have ever seen a story provide. And I have watched 2 Transformers movies.